Welcome to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Portugal. My name is Francisco Proença Garcia. I'm a full professor and dean at the Institute for Political Studies. It is a pleasure to host a series of conversations with Portuguese senior and high-level officials with a large experience of work within the United Nations, held in the context of Portugal's candidature to the UN Security Council. Together, we will discuss the main pillars of Portuguese foreign policy, multilateralism and the United Nations, and explore the ideas and priorities that would guide Portugal's contribution to the work of the Security Council in the current international context. Today I have with me Paulo Rangel. He is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Portugal. Thank you, sir, so much to be with us. So, I'd like to start with multilateralism. Many observers argue that today multilateralism is under pressure, while bilateral power politics seems to be gaining power. What's your observation on this subject, sir?
I think that we have really to acknowledge that multilateralism is at stake. At least it is threatened, or there is the perception that is threatened. It is true that some of the most important states, the biggest ones, the ones that have more military power or economic power, geopolitically they have a good location, are not investing or are disinvesting in multilateralism. This is real. We have to acknowledge that. But I have to say that I think it's a wrong perspective to try to put multilateralism as an alternative to bilateralism, to bilateral relations. What we have to do now, of course, is to reinforce and to defend multilateralism. This is clearly something that we have to do, but at the same time, we have to say that to enhance the bilateral relations is not incompatible with the defense of multilateralism. If there is a trend, a global trend, to try to combat multilateralism and to give, I'd say, priority to bilateral relations, what we have to do, we, the ones that believe really in the advantages for the world, for peace, for development, for prosperity, the advantages of multilateralism, we have to say, we can enhance, we can improve multilateral institutions, doing it at the same time our, I'd say, homework in terms of bilateral relations. So we can really, I'd say, try to surf the wave of this new bilateralization of international relations, saying I can really have more time, more resources dedicated to my relations with some states, with some nations, but not in any case damages my faith and my, I'd say, belief in multilateralism. So I am not so pessimistic as the others. I know that there are threats. I know that there is a rhetoric that is trying to, I'd say, create distrust around multilateral institutions, but we can have the best of both worlds. It is to use bilateral relations to strengthen multilateralism. And so I think that probably if we have the right approach, if we have a smart strategy, this trend of bilateralization can be, I'd say, used to reinforce the future of multilateralism all across the globe.
So I see that we can be a credible partner and a credible member to promote multilateralism. But sir, give me, what is the main purpose of Portugal candidacy to the next mandate on the UN Security Council?
Well, I have to say that Portugal is really, I'd say, a front runner of multilateralism. And so we really believe that despite all the challenges that the world is facing, United Nations are the global governance institution. Sometimes we say we need global governance. We don't need global governance. We need to transport, to put the global governance in the right institution. We have already the organization that can lead this trend, this path towards global governance. It is United Nations. So as we believe in the United Nations, in its values, in its principles, and Portugal is known by this, may I say, fidelity, may I say, loyalty to the United Nations, we are in a position of defending these values in the Security Council. I have to say that Portugal always defend the peaceful resolution of conflicts. We have bilateral relations all around the world. Some of them have more than 5 centuries, 4 centuries, 3 centuries. We really know how to promote dialogue among civilizations. We are a small country, but a reliable country that really in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, in the Pacific, people know the Portuguese tradition of creating ties among peoples. And so is this, I'd say, all this legacy, all this heritage with a quite, I have to say as foreign minister, a quite skilled diplomacy, quite skilled range of diplomats that can really promote these values. We think that we are in a position of, in a very, very difficult time for the United Nations and for the whole international community, of representing this voice of moderation, of belief in the multilateralism, and of promotion of dialogue among states, among peoples, among communities and civilizations.
Okay, so I see, sir, that we want to be a voice at the table. Being a voice at the table, what are your main priorities? What are the Portuguese priorities for this mandate?
Let me stress this idea of a voice at the table. So Portugal doesn't want to be in the Security Council as non-permanent member, only to be there, only to have its own seat there. No, we want to represent all the countries, all the peoples that really believe that the United Nations are indispensable, and they are the right institution to promote the values of respect for the diversity of the world. When I say this, we have this very clear in our, I'd say, motto, that is prevent, partner, protect. So Portugal is defending this motto, prevent, partner, protect. So Portugal is defending this motto, prevent, partner, protect. Prevent is clearly linked to the prevention of conflicts, to the role that a country that is inside the Security Council that has the duty to defend peace, to defend the peaceful resolution of conflicts, to defend mediation, to defend dialogue. Also to have some dissuasion force. Portugal across is belonging, its membership in the United Nations has mobilized more than 20,000 soldiers to promote peace across the world. We had missions in every corner of the world, always to promote peace, always to stabilize situations that were conflictual situations. And so the mission of the United Nations is prevent. The Security Council today must be, again, the forum to promote peace, to promote security, global security. That is prevent. Partner is the other side of multilateralism. When you defend multilateralism, what are you doing? You are promoting the dialogue among partners, among neighbors, among equals. So partner is to promote all the programs that are not only related with security and peace, but they are clearly a kind of the base, the pillar of peace. That is prosperity, that is development, that is sustainable development. And so we really also believe that the purpose of the United Nations, and we are going to defend these if we are elected to the Security Council, is also to promote development. Without development, without creating conditions for all humanity to have a decent life based on dignity of the human being, of the person, of all the women and men, of children, of old people. For that we need health, we need environment, we need a new system of global finance. And so all these values related to the, I'd say, justice are, I'd say, linked to the motto partner. Let me say, we always used to, in political science and in the doctrine of the state, to say that the main goals, the main objectives, the big ends of a state are peace and justice. To prevent is to promote peace. Partner is to promote justice. And then you have, finally, of course, protect. Here we are not dealing with the member states, with the political entities. We are saying United Nations. The United Nations Charter is not only targeting the relations between member states, it's also the value of each person, of each human being, and that is the human rights. Also the Universal Human Rights Declaration. So what we say when we add to the purpose of prevent and of partnering, we add protecting, we are speaking about the people, about a singular, an individual person, a young girl in Congo, a young man in Myanmar, old lady in Peru, or an old man in Vietnam, a worker in Mozambique, a soldier in Saudi Arabia. So we are speaking about concrete people that are entitled to be treated as human beings with dignity, as persons, as individuals that have rights. So we are not only speaking about politics or macro politics, but also about rights. And I would say with this formula, prevent, we aim peace. With this formula, partner, we aim justice. And with this formula, protect, we aim human rights.
So you also bring values to the table. Very interesting, bringing values. But sir, now moving forward, we talk a lot about the reform of Security Council. What do you predict? What are your intentions or ideas about a possible reform and a future legacy of our presence if we are elected as a member for the Security Council?
Well, we initiated our conversation talking about the crisis of multilateralism. And I believe that some, I'd say, weakness of the multilateralism today is linked to the, I'd say, to the equation, to the balance that is represented in the Security Council of the United Nations. Because we know, all we know, this is the legacy of the Second World War, but the world had changed dramatically, as had essential change all across these decades. And after 80 years, it is clear that there is underrepresentation. A lot of countries that were colonies, that were not autonomous territories, are today member states with all the powers and all the rights and obligations and duties of a member state, of a state, of statehood, I'd say. So what we need is to have here a reform of the Security Council. We advocate very, very firmly that Africa should have two representatives in the Security Council, that India should be there. It's the most populated country of the world. It represents a huge percentage of the human beings. And then also Brazil. These four should be permanent members. And this could balance the present Security Council. But it's not only our concern, it's not only to reform the Security Council and their rules, to, I say, initiate a process to try to reduce the impasses of the Security Council, because we know that with the veto powers, and especially with the abuse of veto powers, there is a blockage that sometimes doesn't produce results. So it's also a reform that is not only of representation, but also of work methods of the Security Council. But let me say, this is not enough. For instance, we have to reform the financing system, global financing system. That's why Portugal was so involved in the conference FFD4 in Seville, and we shared together with Burundi a group to reflect on the modernization of the financing system of all the world. So it's not enough to have an institutional reform. We have to have a substantial reform. And that's what we are going to play for inside, at the table of the Security Council.
Thank you, sir. And finally, we are reaching the end of our interview, but I have a last question. We are not alone in this competition. What do you predict that our contribution will be different? What may make the difference between us and the others?
Well, I have to say that we have three candidates to two non-permanent seats. Portugal is only a fair candidate. So we acknowledge that the other candidates, Germany and Austria, they have also a lot of experience, a lot of tradition. They are committed with values, with the purpose of reform. But we think that Portugal, with our history, with all the things that we learned, also with our history, because the history of all the states are also made by some mistakes, and peoples and states, they also have to learn something. We are really different. We make the difference. We are the voice that makes the difference at the table. Portugal is a country that looks at the sea, at the oceans, that understands very well the situation of small islands, that understands very well what is to be peripheral, that understands very well what is not to be a rich state, that knows very well Latin America, knows very well the Far East, knows very well Africa, knows quite well the Pacific. I remember Magellan, for instance, that was crossing all the globe. So when we look at this heritage and the process of learning with our own mistakes, Portugal has something to offer that I think the other candidates probably are not able to offer. But of course, I'm always a suspect in this discussion because I'm promoting our candidacy. But I have to say that with our capacity of dialogue all across the world, with the knowledge of other civilizations, with the humility of knowing how to deal and how to respect all these different views of the civilizations, different religions, different languages, different alphabets, different traditions, all this capacity of coping with diversity. I think this is a huge argument in favor of Portugal. I believe, I really believe, and I would end with that, I'd say, aim and purpose. We are a voice that will make the difference at the table. We are going to make the difference, and that's what I think that can be a huge reason to vote for Portugal.
Thank you, sir, for having us. I learn a lot with your experience and with your words. Hopefully, we will succeed in this program that we have. Thank you, sir.